Hello, welcome to our fireside chat. I'm Yudina, Senior Director of Marketing Initiatives at the Toy Association. A few years ago, the Toy Association started the Genius of Play initiative to educate parents and caregivers about the benefits of play. The Genius of Play works with many different experts in child development, education, psychology, and other related fields. So today, I am with one of our experts, Talia Filippelli. Hi, Talia.
Hi, how are you, Anna?
I'm good. How are you doing today? Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for joining me. We are going to talk about the importance of play to our mental health and well-being. Let me introduce Talia. She is a psychotherapist and the founder of Star Therapy in Hoboken, New Jersey. She has been featured as a mental health expert on CNN and CBS. Talia works with many kids and families. In fact, she has been named the top kids dog by New Jersey Family Magazine for 6 years in a row. And most importantly, Talia is a mom. She has two adorable boys, 3 and 6 years old. So welcome, Talia, and let's start. My first question, if you don't mind, is going to be a little bit of a personal one. When we exchanged emails prior to this chat, I noticed in your email signature, it says, "Be happy on purpose." What does it mean? And how can play help you be happy?
So we use the motto, be happy on purpose, because as you know, and I definitely know, our day is not always organically happy. Sometimes our day just doesn't go that way. So we talk about be happy on purpose as those kind of proactive, purposeful ways that you can inject joy and happiness into your life, even on the days that it's not going so well.
That is absolutely true. Not every day is organically happy. And with the ongoing pandemic this year, I think everybody has been having fewer organically happy days. There's been a lot of stress. In fact, the Genius of Play conducted a survey of 2,000 parents back in the summer, and 74% told us that their kids have turned to play and used it as a coping mechanism because of all this stress that they were experiencing due to the situation with the pandemic. So here's my question. Why do so many kids turn to play to deal with stress? And what it is specifically about play that helps them process those difficult emotions?
So stress, when it appears in our body, it puts us into fight or flight mode. Now that's a phrase that so many people have become familiar with, but what it means is that your body is sort of gearing up for a threat that is coming into its environment. Now the threat can be any number of things. Right now, it's probably a lot of uncertainty, fear that people are experiencing this year as a result of the pandemic. And so in order to halt the stress hormones that flood through our body when we feel that way, we have to do something to kind of reverse that production. And laughter and play actually increases oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin, all of these really feel good, happy hormones. And play is one of the things that can produce that in our body. So the more kids play, the less stress they feel in their bodies and their mood improves. So play is one of the best prescriptions when we're feeling stressed out.
Wow, prescription for play. This is so wonderful. And it sounds like it's the mother nature that prescribed play for us, to inject a little bit of happiness into our lives. Well, toys are known as the tools of play, and kids love toys. They just love toys. So could you talk to me a little bit about the types of toys that are especially good to help kids process their emotions, learn how to manage them a little bit better, learn how to manage the anxiety and stress that they may be going through?
Sure, there's quite a few actually, and we make good use of them in the therapy room when we work with kids. Board games, number one, are fabulous. A lot of board games involve feeling disappointed. So for instance, if you're playing a board game with your child and maybe they land on a space that sends them all the way back to the beginning of the board, that's a real disappointment for a child. So we play games like that in order to specifically provoke feelings of disappointment, and then we help the child cope with that throughout the game, sometimes reminding them that the game is not over so that they have some hopefulness about their ability to kind of recover from that disappointing space that sent them back to the beginning of the board. And it helps them keep pursuing a win until the game is over rather than giving up completely. Other games that can do that are card games. We also do arts and crafts as a way to help kids calm down if they're feeling anxious. You know, focused effort, being creative can do the same thing. So I would say arts and crafts and board games are really, really effective for helping kids cope.
Absolutely. And how interesting, that with the board games, it's almost a rehearsal for real life, because you are bound to have disappointments in real life, but it's so much better when you have that opportunity to learn that in a safe environment. And that's exactly what play provides to the kids.
Absolutely. I'm always telling parents, childhood is preparation, not performance. And so board games can really help children prepare because it makes them feel disappointed. It can make them feel sad. It can help them learn how to be a good loser in some ways, right? When they lose the game, how to lose gracefully. So all of that stuff is preparation to get them ready for their future, right? In adulthood, we inevitably have to deal with these feelings on a regular basis. So it's
Yeah, that's just the reality of life. Well, a lot of parents ask, how can I tell if my child is experiencing a lot of stress? Because, especially with the little kids, they don't talk about it. They may not know what stress means. And when you ask even older kids, sometimes they just say, oh, I'm fine. So what are some signs that parents should look for in their kids?
Sure. So one of the things we encourage parents to do is look beneath the behaviors. Sometimes we get really distracted when we see our kids acting out, and all we do is pay attention to the acting out behavior. But what we know is that there's typically an emotion underneath that behavior that is driving the child to behave in that way. So we ask parents to ask about their feelings, ask about what might be going on, rather than just rush to some consequence or punishment for the behavior. The other thing that you will hear children say are psychosomatic complaints. So those are like physical complaints, like a stomach ache, a headache. Typically, you would see that in a pattern. Maybe if they're anxious about going to school, you might hear them complain about a stomach ache before they go to school on a regular basis every day. That would be another thing to look out for.
So interesting how everything is connected. Mental health is connected to our physical health and vice versa.
Yes,
That
very
is
much
why
so.
it's exactly what you were talking about, the physical signs of stress. Very interesting. And could you talk to me a little bit about how those signs of stress may vary depending on the age of the child? The little child, the toddler, let's say preschooler versus a teenager, let's say, how should those signs of change of stress, may change or not, as the child gets older?
Sure. So for the younger ones, you'll see more behavioral issues. So children who are really young typically don't have the verbal emotional language to be able to say out loud, Mom or Dad, I feel anxious, I feel nervous. Sometimes they don't have those words in their pockets. So you'll see them default to showing you how they feel with their behavior. So you might see some negative attention-seeking behaviors, defiant behaviors, being uncooperative, things like that. For the older kids and teenagers, you'll see more isolative behavior. Maybe they're staying in their room a lot more. You might see them feeling a little bit more emotionally fragile, tearful, low frustration tolerance. Those are some good signs for the older kids.
Great. Okay, so now we know kind of like how to tell if your child is under stress. So let's get back to those playful therapies. And, I know you're a mom, so you have two boys yourself. What are some of your family's strategies? Can you share some tips and tricks? What can parents do to keep their family sane and keep everybody healthy and just ensure that they promote that mental health on a daily basis?
So one of the easiest things to do that I've found is 10 minutes of one-on-one play with each child in your home every day. So 10 minutes hopefully is just a small amount of time, but it packs a big punch when it comes to mental health because children come home from school with a full emotional backpack full of things that occurred that day, issues that may have gone on with friends or teachers, and we're not there with them. So we're not always going to know about every interaction they've had that they're having a feeling about. So one of the things we want parents to do is 10 minutes of play with your child, which means they get to pick the activity. So maybe you feel like roughhousing, maybe you want to build with blocks, maybe you want to do a puzzle or play a game like chess together. All of those types of bonding one-on-one activities are going to help your child feel better and help that stress from the day melt away even when you don't know all the details about what they went through that day.
Talia, I love your prescription of 10 minutes of play every day as a minimum.
Yes.
Well, that's all the questions I have today. Thank you so much for joining me for this chat. And for everybody who is watching us, I encourage you to go to thegeniusofplay.org. This is our website, and you will be able to find a lot more expert tips from Talia, as well as from other experts that we work with. And most importantly, we have tons of play ideas. So not only will you be able to find expert advice, but you will find lots of ideas and inspiration to get a little bit of that play therapy for yourself as well as your family. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.